Right. Om Namo Bhagavate Devaya. Om Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om ज्ञानञ्जना शलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविस्तारपतिरे प्रभुपदतिप्रिय श्रीगिरिराजाय स्वामिने सुभक्तरमरास्पिहाभ्य भक्तिविश्रात्मदायिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णविस्तारपतिरे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने चुनामि नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे मुखम करोति वाचालं तंगं करोति विरमुखपटं श्री गुरु दीनतारणं हरे कृष्ण. Right, so we are discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 and we are on text 50. Is it 49? No, 50. Read some. That's 50, text 50. सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोधम् समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा. O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfection or stage Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. The Lord described for Arjuna how one can achieve the highest perfectional stage simply by being engaged in his occupational duty, performing that duty for the Supreme Person Godhead. One attained the supreme stage of Brahman simply by renouncing the result of his work, the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That is the process of self-realization. The actual perfection of knowledge is in attaining pure Krishna consciousness. That is described in the following verses. I think we have read this also, no? Text 50, 51 to 53. We read that one also. So we should do 54. Let me just read the next verse. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of self-gratification, being free from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always entranced and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Text 54. Okay, Ashwini, read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Text 54. Brahma bhutah prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. Translation. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully enjoyable and fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute is the last word. But for personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in the state of liberation called Brahmabhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto Him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in the higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since Lord is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna. He is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain. Because he is full in the service of the Lord, he has no desire for material enjoyment. Because he knows that every living entity is fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and therefore eternally a servant. He does not see in the material world something as higher and someone as lower. Higher and lower positions are ephemeral, and a devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearances or disappearances. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the Brahma Bhuta stage, and this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. Idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria, and the senses are like serpent's teeth that are broken. As there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable for the materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha or the spiritual sky. The highest personality is in this material world is no more significant than an ant for a devotee. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of the Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this stage.
Now let us examine this.
Very powerful purport, Mataji.
Yeah, let's read again the previous verse and purport. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred. One who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached. Free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things. Free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. So this is Brahma Bhuta. All right? Is elevated to the stage of, see, the qualification to become Brahma Bhuta, the list is given here. So meaning when the intelligence and mind are cooperating, right? Not that your intelligence is saying one thing and then your mind is running in a different direction, right? Doesn't want to obey the intelligence. No. So when the intelligence is purified, and we control the mind with determination. So how do we control the mind? We give up the objects of self-gratification. Like, I know that this particular object is going to make me sick or whatever. I'm speaking there's something I have to eat. I know I like ice cream, but if I have the ice cream, I'm going to get sick. I say, no, I will not have it. You know, just like I have this devotee, she told me how her friend, she was suffering from high diabetes, you know, so very high. So so she took her to the doctor. The doctor gave her a whole list of things she shouldn't have. She shouldn't have Coke. She shouldn't have rice. She shouldn't have this. So as soon as she dropped this devotee in her house, she dropped her, and immediately she pulled out a Coke and said, let's have Coke. Yeah. And then this one said, she was just so shocked. He said, but you know, you've been told not to have Coke. So just let that go to hell. So she died from high diabetes. All right. So many people are like this, isn't it? So many people, they know this is not good for them. They're not able to control their mind with determination and give up the objects of self-gratification. Being free from attachment and hatred. Being free from attachment and hatred, you know. So you feel very much you want this, and then when you don't get it, then you start hating. Why? One who lives in a secluded place. One who lives in a secluded place, meaning away from the general population, who eats little, control your eating, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech. The desire for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, who's always in trance. In trance, meaning that you're focused on your goal. Who is detached, meaning that they let the world pass, right? They're always harassing you. Let the world pass. Free from false ego, meaning knowing who you are. False strength, meaning that I can do it. I'll show you my power. False pride, lust, anger. So when we have full of ego, then we think we can use, we have capacity in our arms or in our body or in our beauty, whatever it may be, false pride. So proud of all this. Lust, anger, and acceptance of material things. Free from false proprietorship. You think that what I possess actually belong to me. You know? I mean, it's so very, very much good to see somebody pass away. You know? Like I'm saying here. So this person passes away, then everything that belonged to him also pass away. Everything, like you just vanish in oblivion. When somebody dies, that person vanish in oblivion. So his possessions are all dispersed, right? Give to this one, give to this one, give to that one. And if he has, any work that he was doing, remove all that. The next person comes and take over, right? And you vanish. So if while we are living, we understand this, that I'm a false proprietor and I'm fit for self-realization. From false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. with text 54. So now one who is thus transcendently situated. So these are the qualification for us to be on Brahma Bhuta. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto you. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. That state, he attains pure devotional service unto you. Okay, now let's read what the impersonalists say about Brahma Bhuta and what the personalists say. So the impersonalists achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. See, everybody's stuck in this material world. Now, through various methods, we are going out. All right? So when we go out, so what happens now? So where will you go? So you become free from material bondage. Where will you go? So the impersonalist has fixed his goal as merging in Brahman. And the devotee has fixed his goal or her goal that she wants to go, or he wants to go to Golok Vrindavan and do seva there. All right? So, becoming one with the Absolute is the last word for the impersonalist. But the pure devotee has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. One who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. What does that mean? You following? How the impersonalists think and how the personalists think. I can't hear you. Is it, I'm not able to hear you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes. We are hearing you.
वो दोनों एक डिफरेंस नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी हम दास है और वो भगवान, मतलब हम भगवान के सेवक ही रहेंगे। ये तो हायर पोजीशन पे भी रहेगा ही, क्योंकि जीवेर स्वरूप वो है नित्य कृष्ण दास, तो ये डिफरेंस तो रहेगा ही।
But they are both in Brahman. Right? Both in Brahman. Yeah. Okay. Now, in the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. All right, so this is something that we need to experience. Not that, you work hard, and after 10 years, you look back, you say, what did I earn? How much did I earn? And how much did I work hard? Then you start cursing that I worked so hard and I got so little return. Whereas the devotees, they're so happy in their hard work. They're working hard, they're so happy. Even if outcome, you look back, what was the outcome? Oh, 10%. But because you were happy to do the seva, that was already the reward. It was not hard work, it was joy. Because you were doing for Krishna. So the full, the devotee, since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. It's just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. It's just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he's naturally always joyful. So whatever he's doing, he's happy to do it. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he's full in the service of the Lord. Doesn't lament for any material loss. So even if you lose something, you say, I lost my time, well, you don't lose your time if you were working for Krishna, right? He has no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmented part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. Eternally a servant. Know that every living entity is eternally a fragmented part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. He doesn't see in the material world someone as higher and someone as lower. Higher and lower positions of ephemeral. Right? Isn't it? Higher and lower, like you rise and then suddenly you're pulled down. See, in this material world, it's amazing. I didn't know all this, now I know. If somebody is rising, okay? Somebody's rising and coming here, right? As soon as somebody managed to find one flaw with that person, what will they do? They will pull him down, right? They pull him down. And then when he managed to escape, so many will gang up together and say, pull him down. It's amazing what is this material world. Do you want to live here? Do you want to live here? The competition to bring you down is amazing, phenomenal. So therefore, to be Brahma Bhuta is very important. Right. Then you can be peaceful. Then nobody can touch you. But if you think this one is higher, this is lower, then immediately you become angry. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the Brahma Bhuta stage, and this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. How easily? When you don't care about high and low. The whole world wants to see you low. You want to see you high, but the entire world want to see you low. So better you accept low. Because how much lower can you go? You will go lower and lower and then be happy, but you are becoming Brahma Bhuta. Right? So if by destiny, you have to run a country, right? You have to run a company, you have to run this one, because everybody cannot just be, equal, right? Some people have to be high. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, right? You can't say we are all going to be communism. Everyone will be socialist. Everybody will be Shudra. No, we can't. So if by ill luck, you happen to be among the top rung, right? You have to figure out how to be Brahma Bhuta. Because the entire world is trying to bring you down, right? So this Brahma Bhuta is a stage of freedom when nobody can bring you down, even if you are placed high and you are a target. This is the whole program is this material world. Everybody wants to be God. So everybody's competing. As soon as you are born, you have a competitor. You've got enemies, you've got friends. Your friends become your enemy. Who you thought was, you were nurturing for so many years suddenly becomes your enemy, and you didn't know this person is your enemy. So that's why Arjun, he told Krishna, take my chariot and place it in the middle. Let me see who has come to fight, because he doesn't even know who's his friend, who's his enemy. Right? So this is the horror of this material world. Therefore, Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to be Brahma Bhuta. We go through it, then we make our children go through it, and they will make their children go through it. Right? Oh, see, in that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria. And the senses are like serpents whose poison teeth are broken. So in Brahma Bhuta, for devotee, he wants his individuality. He's afraid to love. All afraid to love. He knows how to receive love and he knows how to give love. The idea of becoming of attaining the heavenly kingdom, he doesn't care about Sargalok or enjoyment. And his senses are like serpents whose poison teeth are broken, meaning that it is harmless. Meaning the senses doesn't become your enemy. Like I just described, how this lady, what did she do? She went to the doctor. The doctor said, you very high diabetes, don't do this, don't eat this, don't, right? She went home, she did exactly the opposite. Meaning the senses are like serpents. But Brahma Bhuta, that object may be there, but the senses don't react with the sense objects. As there is no fear of a servant with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses. The world is miserable for the materially infected person. The world is miserable for the materially infected person. The world is miserable for the materially infected person. Why? Describe it at great length. Why the material world miserable for the materially affected person? Why? Why?
Because it's so dangerous all the time. Padam padam yat vipadam for materially infested person.
Yeah. Yeah. So why? What is the greatest danger?
क्योंकि लोग आपको नीचे खींच लेंगे ना, आप जितना ऊपर उठोगे लोग आपको गिराएंगे.
Yes. Because everybody wants to dominate you. They want to control you. They want to dominate you. This is the scenario in this material creation. Everybody has come here to dominate you and control you. And we're also doing the same thing, right? Right? We're also doing the same thing. The world is miserable for the materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha or the spiritual sky. The material world is as good as Vaikuntha. The highest personality in this material universe is no more significant than an ant for a devotee, meaning, wow, Lord Brahma. Significant, meaning, what does that mean? It means that you're not aspiring to become a Lord Brahman, the controller of the whole world. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. You want to be on the phone, Ashwini?
Sorry, Mataji. Actually, there is some guest coming, so that's why. Just got a call.
Okay, text 55. Okay, Shikala, you can read.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. भक्त्या मामपि जानाति यावन्यश्चास्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम्. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and His plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. As already stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. He is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished, even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. One should not mistakenly think that the word visate enters into me, supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No, visate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality, to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depths.
Yeah,
Because-
okay, yeah. Let's do the paragraph quite slowly. So one can understand me as I am, the Supreme Person Godhead, only by devotion. So bhaktiyamam abhijanati. Yavan yaschasmi tadvatah. Tato mam tadvato jyatva vishate tad anantaram. This is very famous, very much quoted. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Person Godhead, only by devotion service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. One is full in one when one is in full Krishna consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. The Supreme Person Godhead Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. So you don't sit and think what is God, like so many philosophers, right? Then they conclude there's no God. And if there is a God, then maybe he's a very old man. Whatever. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Person Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of pure. What happens? I mean, you're all devotees here. It's said that if you want to know God, you have to engage in pure devotional service. Tell me.
Mataji didn't understand what you're asking.
I'm saying that Prabhupada is making a statement that you cannot understand God through mental speculation, and non-devotees cannot understand. Then Prabhupada said, who can understand? It is someone who takes to pure devotional service. So why is it that one who takes to pure devotional service can understand God?
Because Mataji, the Krishna will reveal himself to that pure devotee.
How does he reveal himself? That's my question. Is it a magic, suddenly from Akash, Krishna just descend? What is it? Practical.
Because pure devotional service is only when you love Lord. and with loving, and the actions you perform with love,
Then
that will what that attracts Lord, and then Lord will reveal in your heart.
So I want to know your practical life. Did you
Oh,
have
acha.
have you seen Krishna in your work?
No.
Hmm? Have you seen?
We see him in our deity form.
Here is Krishna. Have you
Hmm.
experienced Krishna?
वो हम तब जानते हैं जब हमें अंदर से खुशी होती है सेवा करने में, और गुरु के गाइडेंस में जब हम ये डिवोशनल सर्विस करते हैं तो ऑटोमेटिक हमें सेटिस्फेक्शन होता है, कि खुशी मिलती है और शांति लगती है कि हाँ हमने कुछ किया। उस तरह से हम समझ पाते हैं कि हाँ भगवान ने हमें एक्सेप्ट किया, मतलब हमने प्योर सर्विस किया, या हमारा मन को शांति लगती है और एक खुशी मिलती है कि हाँ आज मैंने ये सेवा किया भगवान के लिए। मेरा मन
Yes. Yeah, you feel happy. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Person Godhead, he has to take the pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. So what did you get to understand about Krishna when you do pure devotional service? What do you get to
That he
understand?
reciprocates.
Yes. Yeah. He reciprocates. Right? You know, sometimes now that we are this page, 18th chapter, so many years we've been together, experience that you try your best. You know, in a difficult situation, you try your best. You may even be pounding your fist on the table. You try your best, but then you become helpless, right? You realize you can't do beyond a certain point, become helpless, then what do?
You fall at his feet, you beg, you request him to take charge.
Yes, right? Right? Krishna is such a personality that he'll let you do until you say, okay, Krishna, please now. Right? Then you understand Krishna, then you see Krishna. Krishna, right? He manifests himself. And you know, Krishna has done this. Isn't it? Everybody's got experience. There's just no way it could have happened. Only Krishna can do this. Right? Because I just described how in this world of competition and enmity, of obstacles, right? How will you survive in this world if you are not under the protection of Krishna? Those who are pulling you down, they believe that they are supreme. They have the power to pull you down. But if the pure devotee who is serving Krishna, nobody can pull him down or pull her down, isn't it? I'm taking this example because this is the peak of all our problem in this material world. Everybody in this material world is, climbing up, and the entire world is saying down, 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 down. You down and me up, right? When you are doing devotional service, you're doing it only for Krishna, all right? And even when you're doing for Krishna, so many people want to pull you down because they think they're mixed up. They can't understand what is material and what is spiritual. They can't figure that out, right? So even in the spiritual circle, because they're mixed up, then they will still try to pull down, right? So if you're Brahma Bhuta, all right? if you're Brahma Bhuta, then you're not, right? You're not sitting in anxiety. You are not worried because you are working for Krishna. Even if there are, what we read in the previous verse, even if there is some fault, text 48, even if there is some fault in your work for Krishna, which allow other people to pull you out, right? Because of these faults in your devotional service. This is what the world is waiting for, when there will be some fault in your work so they can catch you. But if you are working for Krishna only, even if there are some faults, Krishna will come and rescue. Then the devotee is able to experience and understand that this is Krishna. Right? Practical life, all of you agreed, you have experienced, right? Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Person Godhead will always be hidden. Asha Sarvasya, he is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by, it's not I'm going to sit and read a book and I will understand God. Given all of you said yes, 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 we have seen and experienced Krishna's presence, Krishna's hands, right? Everybody saying yes, yes, we have, right? How many of you are great scholars? I'm asking, how many of you are great scholars?
No, I mean, I'm not.
All right. No,
No.
but everybody's agreed, yes, we have experienced Krishna's hand. And therefore we have seen him, right? So when there is no ahankar, and you know you can't do, right? And when you go to Krishna and you pray, right? You just pray. This is the submission. This is the humility. And Krishna reveals. Only one who's actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is, right? University degrees are not helpful. You go and sit in school and you study Hinduism and you pass an exam, you get a certificate, and then you go and you take this certificate and you go and teach somewhere and you say, I'm Guruji, right? And you're going to teach this and you say, who's Krishna? How do you experience Krishna? Nothing, only paper, right? So therefore, with this type of scholarship, nobody's interested in practicing. Everybody becomes sense gratifier. Say, yes, yes, you have nice philosophy. I remember, at one time, suddenly, in the syllabus, they introduced Hinduism. Every school run all the children, they will study Hinduism. Why? Because they thought it's an easy scoring subject, right? Scoring subject. It's easy, we can just. And then after some years, everything collapsed. From the thousands, everything collapsed to a handful. Say, why? Oh, they introduced this subject, that subject, so they have alternatives, right? They have alternatives. It was not a real interest. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman doesn't mean that one loses his identity. Bhakti means Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhakti. Such knowledge is never vanquished even after liberation. See, what happened is that any material knowledge that you have, like I find this to my great horror, I find that I'm forgetting how to spell words. Spelling? I've never had the problem. I was sitting, how do you write this word? My great horror. I've never used a dictionary from the time I left school. Sit and think. There is oh, this is what it means that at birth you are zero. You have to go to school. But the knowledge of Krishna consciousness is never vanquished. So that's why you find suddenly in your home, a child is born, the child can hardly say ABC already, they're running to the temples. Right? They want you to bring them to the temple. They want that arti. Right? You have seen children like this? Because the knowledge of Krishna consciousness is never vanquished. And as soon, and if they are not born in devotee families, then as soon as they can walk and think, they will go running, looking. Such knowledge is never vanquished even after liberation, meaning that this knowledge of serving Krishna, if it is inculcated and it has become part and parcel of you, after liberation, this Jeev will not be ready to accept Brahman, merging in Brahman. He will look for service for Krishna. You understanding this? He is his path. Who has aimed Brahman realization as impersonalism? This is how he has made himself comfortable, you could say. His entire mind, his whole soul is comfortable with, I'm going to merge in Brahman. So say, if you come out of the material world, you come out. Everybody is meeting Brahman, but the devotee will not stop at Brahman. He will go and look for his Krishna. His path will be open. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there. The same identity, individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. Liberation. Liberation, where are we? Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. All right? What is material life? It is competition to be number one. Okay, we fixed that. Spiritual life, same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. One should not mistakenly think that the word Vishate enters into me. Suppose the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No. Vishate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. So I just said that you come in Brahman, you enter Brahman where there is a pathway, whereas the impersonalists, they just say, oh, finally, here's the Brahman and he sits there, right? Whereas the devotee is seeking his Krishna. Therefore, he goes in that direction and he's able to see it. All right. So both of them, the impersonalists and the personalists, they are both entering the Brahman. But they seem to have merged, but the devotee is going further. For instance, Green bird enters a green tree not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonal. He's very happy, finally chutkara from this material world, He just goes and says, finally, aram, right? But that person keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. So in this ocean of Brahman, there are actually individuals who are floating. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depth. The time is up, so let me just finish this. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth. As stated in the 11th chapter, only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Person Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. So see, you have to remember this. Whatever you're cultivating, life after life, this is what you become. This is what you become. So if you are cultivating to be an impersonalist and you're comfortable with this, this is what you will achieve. But as a devotee, if you learn to serve Krishna, love and serve Krishna, then when you come out of the material world, Krishna is going to catch you. Right? His agents are waiting for you. You're not going to merge in the ocean. By attainment of the Brahma Bhuta stage of freedom from material conceptions. Remember, meaning freedom from material conception, a whole list is given here. Sense object, attachment and hatred, eating a lot, not controlling the body, mind, and speech, being lusty, greedy, angry, accepting material things, thinking that I'm the proprietor, all this is contrary to Brahma Bhuta. So when you become free from these material conceptions, then devotional service begins by one's hearing of them. Then you are relaxed. If otherwise, you just look at all of us. As soon as you call your friend, just notice we do it all the time. How are you? Then the person will start telling his story and say, and me also. And then you start telling your story, right? Is it true? I do it. Why? Because you're concerned and absorbing yourself. So once the material conception is over, you're free from yourself. Then you're ready to sit and hear about Krishna. Otherwise, everything is about yourself. Your mind is completely blocked. You only want to hear your own katha, right? So devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahma Bhuta stage develops, and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. As lust and desire disappear from the heart of the devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. As calm, ichha, disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. And by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. in that state of life can understand the Supreme Lord. So the material contamination, kam, krodh, lobha, moha, matsarya, mad, which make us, somebody's going up, pull him down so that I can be up. Right? That's the gist of life, material life. This is the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra confirmed this. Aprayanat tatrapi hi drishtam. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional service is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional. So it's why are we suffering? Because it's abnormal. It's abnormal to be in a position, a situation where all the time somebody wants to bring you down. So better be in our own constitutional position, which is servant of Krishna. Right? Instead of that fight, how to be the supreme Ishvara.
Mataji, is it okay? I believe some guests have come.
The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is a part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from misconceptions of life. All right? All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.